Hi guys, and welcome back to today's lesson about process essays. We are going to talk about process essays today and the things or the components which are important for understanding process essay. So first let's see what process essay is. Process essay is a kind of essay which is going to tell the readers how to do or how to make something. Like process paragraphs, we also have process essays. So usually these essays are going to tell the readers how to do something or how to make something. Generally we can say that they are going to describe the processes or the steps for doing something. And we usually use a chronological order in such kind of essays. For example, the topic for a process essay can be how to make a cake. So this is the topic for a process essay, and it's clear that this essay will talk about how to prepare a cake. So it will talk about the processes or the steps which are needed for making a cake. These essays are also called how-to essays. So there are some things we need to understand before talking about process essays, which are about prefixes and suffixes. So before that we will talk about some of the word parts and word families. Many of the words are related to each other, especially the words which come from the same family, or the words which come from the same root or same base. For example, the words action and actor, these two words are related since they are coming from the same base word or the same root, that's act. So these words are particularly the words which cannot be broken down into other parts. They are recognizable single units and they cannot be broken down into many other parts. And usually we can add affixes, which includes prefixes, infixes, and suffixes to the base words. For example, the word happy. The word happy is an example of a base word, which cannot be divided into any other parts. And still we can add suffixes and prefixes to the word happy. For example, unhappy to make it to the negative, like by adding the prefix an, and the adding of a ness or the suffix which can be changed to the noun happiness. So happy is an example of this word. Root words. Root words are the words from which other words are made. Usually we can call it is the origin of the word. The origin means the source that other words are made from it. For example, the word matter, which generally comes from the Latin language, and still it's widely used in English language, and it means mother. So many of the words made from the word matter are maternal, like relating to mother, and maternally or maternalism. So many of the origin words in English are usually borrowed from other languages like Greek, Latin, and other languages. And usually prefixes and suffixes can be added to the bases and roots, both of them. We can add the suffixes and the prefixes and also the infixes to the roots and bases of the words. So what's prefix? So prefix is the letter, it means a single letter or maybe a group of letters which can be added to the beginning of a word, and usually it's changing the word's meaning. For example, the prefix "n" added to the word of correct, so it will be changed to incorrect, which means the meaning is changed. Correct means something accurate, and incorrect means something wrong. So this is an example of a prefix which can change the meaning of the word. Usually prefixes can be, as we said before, one single letter, or maybe they can be a group of letters, or maybe 2 letters, 3 letters, and so on. Suffix. Suffix is the same as prefix in terms of combination. It can be a single letter or a group of letters, but the difference is that it is going to be added to the end of the word, not to the beginning. The prefix was going to be added to the beginning, while the suffix is going to be added to the end of the word. And it usually changes the meaning and form both. This is the difference. The prefix was going to change only the meaning, and the suffix is going to change the meaning and the form. So here's an example for a suffix, "ness," which can be added to the word sick. So sick is going to be changed to sickness. So it's going to change also the part of speech. So I mean the previous word was sick, which was an example of an adjective. And now the sickness, the new derived word, is a noun. So it changed the form of the word. And the next one, that's an example of a suffix as well, is meant. Meant can also be added to the verbs, and the verb can be changed to the noun. For example, measure, measurement. So suffix can change the meaning and the form both in a word. So now let's talk about organizing a process essay. How to organize a process essay. So process essays, generally as other essays, have the structure or schematic structure starting from introduction, body, and conclusion. So it has an introduction, body, and conclusion. The process should be explained the way they really occur. So you're going to talk about something or making something in a specific order. So the order which really they occur, for example. So you're going to mention them one by one through a very specific chronological order. Like the first should be the first, second should be the second, third should be the third, and so on. So describe them in a way which they really occur in the really real life situation. Before writing process essay, you should be clear about how many steps you want to mention. Yes. So you need to mention, or if you do not want to mention, you should know how many steps you are going to talk about in your process essay. The thesis statement should have a process and show the time order. Yes, the thesis statement is the very important and crucial sentence in an essay. It usually has the main idea or the main concept in an essay. So it should be having the process, like what you're going to talk about, you should mention in your thesis statement, and the time order. Usually, you're going to talk about the number of the steps which you're going to add in your essay. So these things should be clear in your thesis statement. Use chronological order signals to show the time sequence. Yes, for process essays, we are going to use chronological order. Chronological order usually shows the time sequence. What's first, what's second, third, and so on. Like you are going to talk about them by their natural happening order, which is called chronological order. Thesis statement for process essay. So the thesis statement for a process essay shows that chronological order will be used. Yes, you are going to mention in your thesis statement, like you are going to talk about the steps. So those steps usually need a kind of chronology, a kind of chronological order. And many of the thesis statements usually have the words develop, plan, evolve, or words like procedures, steps, states, and processes. Yeah, these all words show the sequence. They show the time order. That's why we are usually going to use them in our thesis statements, so that we want to make our readers clear on how many things or how many steps we will talk about. So that's why we are going to use these specific words like develop, plan, evolve, procedures, steps, and states. For example, there are many steps to develop your business. This is a thesis statement, for example, for a process essay. So you see the word develop and also the word steps. But there is one thing. You don't know how many steps there are, how many steps our author is going to talk about, because he has not mentioned. He has just mentioned many steps. So maybe there are 4 steps, 5 steps, or maybe 10 steps. We don't know about the number. He hasn't mentioned the number, but still he has mentioned that there are many steps for developing your business. So it's clear that this will talk about the number of steps for developing our business. The thesis statement should sometimes mention the number of steps. Yeah, I mentioned before, sometimes we are going to make our readers clear on how many steps we are going to talk about. And sometimes we don't want to mention the number of steps. For example, there are 3 steps to develop your business. Yes, now we know that the writer will talk about 3 steps for developing our business. The thesis statement sometimes even names the steps. Yeah, so there are 3 things. Sometimes you do not want to mention the number of steps. Sometimes you want to mention the number of steps. And sometimes you also want to mention the things or the steps themselves. For example, the 3 significant steps in developing your business are having enough budget, taking risks, and having good relationship with the organizations. So in this thesis statement, the writer is going to tell us 3 steps for developing our business. Those 3 steps are having enough budget, taking risks, and having good relationship with organizations. Now let's talk about body paragraphs in a process essays. So body of an essay is usually for describing the details and all the supporting information for the thesis statement. You can describe each single step in one single paragraph. Like before I mentioned about 3 steps for developing our business. So you can have 3 body paragraphs, specified one paragraph for each step. You can describe group of steps in one single paragraph. Yes, you can also talk about 2 or 3 steps in one paragraph, joined in one paragraph. You can add more details to any step you want in a separate paragraph. Yes, sometimes you are going to mention the major step in one paragraph, and then you need to have a lot of details or examples or any other extra information, so you can put them in a separate paragraph in the body of an essay. So these are some of the transitional signals for chronology. Anytime you are going to write a process essay, you can use these signal words for chronology. For example, first of all, second, third, then, next, after that, soon, later. You see, all these words show the sequence, the order by which the things are going to happen. So you see these words sometimes work as phrases. Maybe it can be a phrase. Sometimes they are only one word. Sometimes they are subordinators. So depending on their position. But still the meaning is to show the time order. Let's see the first example. First, choose a destination for your camping trip. So first is the transitional signal for chronology here. It is going to tell us the first step, the first part, and maybe other parts are going to be discussed later. So first is the first word or the first time order, word or signal. Chronology words are very important for process essays. Yes, they are the words which can help you to talk about your process essays. Otherwise, you cannot describe the steps or the procedures included in your process essays. You need to be very clear on each step in a process essay. Yes, you need to mention what's the reader going to do first, second, third, and so on. You need to be very clear about each step and specify what happens first, second, after, before, or at the same time. Yeah, first should be clear, second should be clear, and also what is going to be happening at the same time. That's also important to be mentioned and specific for the readers. So transitional signals are the very important things for your process essays. You need to be very clear about using the transitional signals. So that's all for the process essays. Let's once again summarize here the important points. So process essays usually talks about telling the readers what to do or how to make something. It's also called how-to essays because the word how-to means how to do something. So what we need very seriously for process essays is the chronology or the chronological order signal words like first, second, third, and others. So next is the thesis statement. The thesis statement is the very important statement, not only in process essays but in all other kinds of essays. So we need to be very clear about thesis statement, and also there are many other characteristics we talked about in thesis statement, like putting the steps in one paragraph, two paragraphs, and so on. Thank you for your attention.